When you decide to discipline yourself, truly discipline yourself, your life begins to move in a direction that surprises even you, not because the world suddenly changed, but because you finally became willing to change the one thing you actually have control over, yourself. Discipline is not punishment, and it is not deprivation. It is the highest form of self-love, the moment you stop negotiating with the part of you that keeps you small and start honoring the part of you that knows you were made for more. Discipline is the bridge between who you were and who you are capable of becoming, and the moment you step onto that bridge with intention, your life slowly begins to turn into something unrecognizable. Every transformation begins with a single decision, a quiet internal yes that whispers through the mind like a spark. You may not feel powerful in that moment. You may not feel ready. But somewhere inside there is an impulse, a pull, a timeless knowing that you cannot keep living the way you've been living and expect something extraordinary to happen. Discipline begins the moment you stop waiting for someone else to change your circumstances. It begins the moment you realize you are not a victim of your patterns. You are the creator of new ones. Life shifts the moment you decide to become the authority of your own behavior, the guardian of your own energy, the architect of your own destiny. Most people think transformation happens in a dramatic flash, a thunderbolt that hits from the sky. Real transformation is quiet. It begins in the unseen. It starts in the morning when you rise before the sun and choose to honor your purpose instead of your exhaustion. It shows up in the small choices you make throughout the day, the moments you silence the temptation to procrastinate, the times you replace distraction with direction. And it grows in strength each time you choose the future you desire over the comfort of your habits. These small, seemingly insignificant choices are where the real revolution happens, because discipline is not a moment, it is a practice. It is a daily remembering of who you are becoming. There comes a moment when you realize discipline is not something outside of you. It is something you cultivate within. It is the realization that you cannot blame your lack of results on anyone or anything when you still cling to the things that sabotage your progress. Discipline is the courage to face yourself. It is the willingness to look at your patterns, your habits, your tendencies and say, no more. It is the understanding that every time you abandon your own potential, you reinforce the belief that you are not worthy of the life you desire. But every time you honor your discipline, even in the smallest way, you reinforce the truth that you are powerful, capable, and ready to rise. When your discipline strengthens, your identity shifts. You begin to see yourself differently. You start showing up differently. You begin to carry an energy that others can feel, not because you are louder, but because you are aligned. Your actions match your intentions. Your choices reflect your purpose. Your energy becomes consistent, focused, unwavering. And this consistency creates a momentum that no external force can stop. People around you may not understand it. They may question the changes. They may wonder why you no longer tolerate certain behaviors or environments. But that is what happens when you decide to evolve. The old version of you doesn't vanish, it simply becomes irrelevant. There is a powerful truth about discipline that many people overlook. Discipline frees you. The more you strengthen it, the less you are controlled by impulses, fears, emotions, and external influences. Discipline liberates you from the chaos of an undirected life. It creates order where there was confusion. It creates clarity where there was doubt. It creates forward movement where there was stagnation. It gives you the strength to choose what is right for you, even when what is easy tries to seduce you. And as you live more aligned with your intentions, life begins to respond. Opportunities appear not because they were absent before, but because you finally raised your frequency high enough to recognize and receive them. Discipline does not ask for perfection. It asks for sincerity. It asks for presence. It asks for the willingness to try again when you stumble, to realign when you drift, to recommit when you forget your why. It is not about being rigid. It is about being responsible with the gift of your own potential. It is about honoring the quiet promise you made to yourself when you knew you were capable of more. And as you keep honoring that promise, something miraculous happens. You begin to trust yourself again. You begin to believe in your ability to create change. You begin to see yourself as the source of your own transformation. The more disciplined you become, the less reactive you become. You stop giving your energy to drama, distractions, and the empty noise of the world. You begin to value your time differently. You begin to value your peace differently. You begin to value your mind differently. You stop pouring your energy into people who drain you and situations that stunt you. Instead, you pour your energy into growing, creating, learning, building, healing. And slowly, your life begins to shift into a version that reflects the strength within you. The chaos that once consumed you loses its power. The habits that once controlled you fall away. The limitations that once defined you dissolve. You become the sculptor of your own existence. Discipline invites you to build a relationship with patience, not the passive kind of patience that waits, but the active kind that trusts. The kind of patience that understands every seed has a season, every process has a rhythm, every transformation has a timeline. Discipline teaches you to stay committed even when the results are not visible. It teaches you that growth often unfolds in the unseen, long before it becomes evident in the physical world. It teaches you that progress is happening even when the mirror does not yet reflect it. And when you learn to trust the process, your progress accelerates. There will be mornings when you do not feel like doing the work. There will be days when your mind tries to talk you out of your greatness, when doubt creeps in, when old habits try to reclaim you. But discipline is not about feeling ready. It is about choosing to move regardless of the feeling. The days you don't feel like doing the work are the days that matter the most, because they are the days that shape your character. Anyone can act when they feel motivated, but discipline demands action when motivation is nowhere to be found. And it is in those moments, the difficult ones, the inconvenient ones, the uncomfortable ones, that your transformation deepens. As you continue walking this path, you will notice something remarkable. Your life begins to separate into two timelines, the one you used to live and the one you are creating. The old timeline is filled with patterns that once felt familiar but now feel too small. The new timeline is filled with choices that align with who you are becoming. When you choose discipline, you choose the new timeline. You choose the version of yourself that is waiting on the other side of your commitment. And the more you choose it, the more your life becomes unrecognizable. There comes a point on this path where you begin to sense that discipline is no longer something you are forcing. It becomes something you are embodying. It becomes the natural expression of a mind that has awakened from distraction, a heart that has remembered its purpose, a soul that has chosen to rise. You start to feel that the things you once resisted are now the very things that strengthen you. You begin to crave structure instead of chaos, clarity instead of confusion, growth instead of stagnation. The habits that once weighed you down lose their grip, and the actions that once felt challenging become part of your identity. You are no longer trying to be disciplined. You are simply living as someone who is. And yet, even in this transformation, life will test your commitment. You will meet moments that confront your old patterns. Moments where your former self tries to pull you back. Moments where the world tempts you with distractions disguised as obligations, opportunities, or comfort. But discipline is not the absence of temptation, it is the mastery of choice. It is the ability to recognize when something does not align with your future and walk away without hesitation. It is the strength to honor your inner compass even when external noise tries to drown it out. With every test you pass, with every moment you stand firm in your intention, you build a deeper foundation of trust within yourself, and this trust becomes unshakable. There is a profound shift that happens when your discipline matures. You stop chasing results and start building systems. You stop relying on bursts of motivation and begin leaning into consistency. You realize that the most powerful people are not those who move quickly, but those who move steadily. They do not sprint toward greatness, they build it slowly, intentionally, brick by brick. And in this building, they discover a truth that the impatient never learn. Slow progress is still progress, and disciplined progress is permanent progress. What is built quickly is often fragile. What is built diligently cannot be shaken. As you honor your discipline, your relationship with time begins to transform. You no longer see time as something you lack, you see it as something you shape. You stop saying, "I don't have time," and start saying, "I choose how I use my time." And this subtle shift is where your power multiplies. Because when you take ownership of your time, you reclaim your life. You stop handing your minutes to distractions, your hours to procrastination, your days to habits that steal from your future. You begin to understand that your time is not just a resource, it's a reflection of your values. And when your values align with your discipline, your life elevates in ways you could never imagine. You begin to notice that the more disciplined you become, the less interest you have in things that once fascinated you. Conversations that once entertained you feel shallow. Environments that once felt comfortable feel limiting. People who once influenced you no longer hold the same sway. This is not arrogance, it is evolution. You are simply rising into a version of yourself that is more aligned, more self-aware, more intentional. And this growth naturally creates distance from anything that does not support your path. When this happens, do not resist it. Allow the distance, allow the space, allow the separation. It is not loss, it is clarity. With discipline, your perception sharpens. You begin to recognize which thoughts empower you and which ones weaken you. You begin to notice when your mind tries to repeat old patterns of doubt or fear. And rather than fighting these thoughts, you become aware of them. You witness them without letting them lead you. This awareness is powerful because discipline is not only about controlling your actions, it is also about mastering your mind. When you learn to observe your thoughts instead of obeying them, you free yourself from the prison of impulsive thinking. You become the director of your inner world. And when you master your inner world, the outer world cannot control you. Life begins to meet you at the level of your discipline. People treat you differently. Opportunities approach you differently. Challenges respond to you differently. Not because the world changed, but because you changed. You walk with a different energy. You speak with a different clarity. You carry yourself with a different confidence. You no longer shrink in uncertainty. You stand in intention. You no longer get lost in emotional storms. You navigate them with self-awareness. You no longer wait for life to improve. You create the conditions for improvement. Discipline turns you into a person who life cannot ignore. As your discipline deepens, something extraordinary happens. You begin to separate your identity from your past. You stop defining yourself by who you were and start defining yourself by who you are becoming. You no longer carry the weight of old mistakes, old stories, old labels. You start to recognize that the past is not a life sentence, it is a reference point. You understand that you are not obligated to remain loyal to a version of yourself that was created by fear or survival. Discipline gives you the authority to rewrite your narrative. And the more you rewrite it, the more unrecognizable your life becomes. Not because you escaped your past, but because you transcended it. And still, the world will not always applaud your transformation. In fact, your discipline will silently expose the undisciplined. Your consistency will challenge the inconsistent. Your focus will confront the distracted. Your rise will unsettle those who prefer you at a lower level. Some will misunderstand you. Some will distance themselves. Some will try to pull you back into patterns you've outgrown. But this is part of the journey. Discipline requires discernment. Learning who can walk with you into your future and who can only remain in your past. Not everyone is meant to join you in the next chapter. Not everyone is capable of growing at your pace, and that is not your burden to carry. There will be quiet nights on this journey. Nights when you feel the weight of responsibility. Nights when you wonder if the sacrifices are worth it. Nights when the path feels lonely, but it is on those nights that you must remember. Discipline is not meant to make your life easier. It is meant to make your life meaningful. You are not choosing discipline to impress others. You are choosing it to honor your soul. You are choosing it to align with the person you know you can become. You are choosing it because the alternative is a life where you settle for less than your potential. and you know deep inside that you were not created for a life of settling. As you continue moving forward, you will notice that discipline begins to reshape your desires. You no longer crave instant gratification. You no longer seek validation from others. You no longer chase fulfillment in external things. You begin to find fulfillment in growth, in progress, in purpose. You start to appreciate the quiet victories, the early mornings, the hard decisions, the moments you chose strength over comfort. You begin to feel proud of yourself in a way you never did before, not because of what you achieved, but because of who you became in the process. That pride is sacred. It is the reward of discipline. You will reach a point where you look at your life and barely recognize it. The habits that once ruled you are gone. The chaos that once surrounded you has dissolved. The people who once drained you no longer determine your direction. The fears that once controlled you feel powerless. The limitations that once confined you have collapsed. You will stand in a reality that was once only a vision, and you will realize it was your discipline, not your dreams, that built it. Dreams inspire you, but discipline materializes them. Dreams spark change, but discipline completes it. Dreams give you the vision, but discipline gives you the transformation. And yet this transformation does not end. It continues, deepens, expands. Discipline is not a finish line. It is a way of living, a way of thinking, a way of moving through the world with intention. You become someone who chooses their future, moment by moment, decision by decision, action by action. You become someone who no longer waits for the perfect conditions because you understand that the perfect condition is commitment. You become someone who no longer asks, "When will I see results?" because you trust that results are inevitable when effort is consistent. Your life becomes unrecognizable not because you changed everything at once, but because you chose differently again and again and again. You chose the harder path when the easier one was tempting. You chose the aligned action when the distracting one was available. You chose the future when the present demanded comfort. You chose discipline when your old self begged for familiarity. And every one of those decisions was a vote. For the person you are now becoming, there is a moment on this journey when you suddenly notice that the things that once overwhelmed you no longer hold the same power. The emotions that once consumed you become visitors instead of residents. The impulses that once dictated your behavior lose their authority. The distractions that once pulled you off your path become background noise. This is the quiet reward of discipline, the inner strength that builds without applause, without recognition, without anyone else noticing. It is the transformation that happens behind the scenes, the strengthening of the inner world that eventually reshapes the outer one. You start to feel a groundedness within you, a steadiness, a calm clarity that was not there before. This is the sign that you are becoming a different person. As this inner shift deepens, you begin to realize that discipline is not a restriction, it is a refinement. It is the pruning of what no longer aligns. It is the shedding of what holds you back. It is the clearing of mental, emotional, and spiritual clutter so that your true path can become visible. You begin to understand that every act of discipline is an act of alignment. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you align with your higher self. Every time you choose focus over distraction, you align with your purpose. Every time you choose intention over impulse, you align with the life you are here to live. Discipline is alignment in motion, and alignment is what makes your life feel meaningful. As you move further, you begin to feel grateful for the challenges that once frustrated you. You start to see them not as obstacles but as invitations. Every challenge tests your discipline. Every test strengthens it. Every setback stretches your capacity. Every moment of resistance expands your endurance. This is why disciplined people grow so quickly. They are willing to walk through the discomfort others avoid. They understand that discomfort is not a barrier but a teacher. It refines them. It reveals their limits and then dissolves them. It shapes their character with precision. And with each challenge mastered, your life becomes a reflection of your inner strength. You will notice that the more disciplined you become, the more your intuition awakens. You begin to sense when something is aligned and when it isn't. You begin to make decisions with confidence, not fear. You begin to trust the quiet inner voice that once felt faint. Discipline strengthens intuition because it quiets the noise that once drowned it out. When your mind is scattered, your intuition is distant. When your mind is disciplined, your intuition becomes clear. And when intuition becomes clear, your life begins to flow with a sense of divine timing that feels almost effortless. Then comes a stage where you no longer feel the need to explain your transformation to anyone. You stop seeking validation. You stop justifying your decisions. You stop apologizing for your growth. You realize that people who truly want the best for you will support your discipline, not question it. They will honor your boundaries, not challenge them. They will respect your evolution, not try to slow it down. Growing does not require permission. It requires intention. And when you honor that intention, your life aligns with people, environments, and opportunities that reflect your new level. Your discipline becomes the silent language you speak into the world. It becomes the energy others feel when you walk into a room. People may not be able to articulate it, but they sense the strength, the clarity, the groundedness. They sense that you are someone who honors their commitments, someone who does not play with their potential, someone who has chosen a path few are willing to walk. And this quiet strength draws the right people into your life while naturally repelling the wrong ones. This is one of the hidden blessings of discipline. It builds protection around you without you even asking for it. You begin to understand that every aspect of your life is connected. Your thoughts shape your habits shape your identity shapes your destiny. Discipline is what aligns all three. When you discipline your mind, your thoughts become clear. When you discipline your actions, your habits become empowering. When you discipline your focus, your identity becomes intentional. And when all of this aligns, your destiny shifts into a higher trajectory. You start to feel that your life is no longer happening to you. It is happening through you. It is being shaped by your choices, your actions, your consistency. As you continue walking this path, something remarkable happens. You begin to feel proud of your discipline. You begin to appreciate the early mornings, the difficult choices, the boundaries you kept, the habits you developed, the distractions you declined. You begin to see these actions as evidence of your growth, evidence of your awakening, evidence of your evolution. You begin to understand that the reward is not the achievement, it is the becoming of someone who follows through, someone who honors their word, someone who chooses their future over their comfort, someone who lives with intention instead of impulse. With this pride comes a new level of self-respect. You begin to speak to yourself differently. You begin to treat yourself differently. You begin to hold yourself to a higher standard, not because you are hard on yourself, but because you know your worth. You stop tolerating behaviors that once diminished you. You stop participating in conversations that once drained you. You stop engaging with habits that once weakened you. This self-respect radiates outward. It influences how you speak, how you move, how you show up in the world. And as your self-respect grows, so does your discipline. Eventually, your life begins to mirror your inner transformation. Your environment shifts, your energy shifts, your relationships shift, your opportunities shift. And you realize that the world has always been responding to you. When you were unclear, life was unclear. When you were inconsistent, life was inconsistent. When you were distracted, life presented distractions. But when you became disciplined, life responded with clarity, alignment, and momentum. You see that the outer world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner world, and that discipline is the tool that reshapes both. There will be days of extraordinary clarity, days when you feel the power of your choices, days when your past feels distant, days when your future feels tangible, days when you look around and realize how far you've come. You may not yet be where you want to be, but you are no longer where you used to be. And that distance, that beautiful gap between your former self and your current self, is proof of your discipline. That gap, honor it. Recognize the strength it took to create it. because it is in that gap that your rebirth is happening. Discipline transforms you in ways that cannot be undone. Once you've tasted the strength of consistency, the clarity of intention, the peace of structure, the power of self-control, it becomes impossible to return to the person you once were. You may have moments of doubt, moments of resistance, moments of exhaustion, but you will never fully go back, not because you cannot, but because you no longer desire the life that version of you lived. You have outgrown that reality. You have outgrown the habits that built it. You have outgrown the mindset that maintained it. Evolution cannot be reversed. As the layers of your old self continue to fall away, you begin to notice an inner expansion. You feel more open, more receptive, more intuitive. You begin to access ideas, insights, and creativity that were blocked by your old patterns. Your mind becomes sharper. Your heart becomes steadier. Your spirit becomes lighter. You begin to feel that you are not just improving your life, you are entering a higher state of being. And this elevation is the direct result of your discipline. Soon, your daily life becomes a reflection of your higher choices. The way you speak, the way you think, the way you respond, the way you plan, the way you move through challenges, all of it begins to reflect the new identity you've built. You may not even realize how dramatically you've changed until someone who hasn't seen you in a while says, "You're different." And they are right, you are different. But not because life changed you, you changed yourself. When you finally reach the place where you can look at your life and see how far you've risen, let there be no doubt in your mind that it was your discipline that carried you here. Not luck, not timing, not circumstances, discipline. The quiet, steady force that shaped your character when no one was watching. The invisible work that rewired the way you think, the way you move, the way you choose. The faithful commitment that turned your intentions into reality and your reality into a life you once dreamed of living. You did not arrive here by accident. You arrived here because you chose yourself again and again. Because you showed up on the days when it was hard, on the days when you didn't feel ready, on the days when your old self tried to pull you back. You kept moving. You kept choosing. You kept believing in the person you were becoming, even when you could barely see the path ahead. And now the results of that belief live in your actions, your habits, your energy, your identity. This is the moment when you finally realize that the life you once thought was impossible was never far from you. It was simply waiting for the disciplined version of you to claim it. You stepped into that version, you honored that version, and now you embody that version. The person you have become is not defined by the past you overcame, but by the future you chose to build, a future shaped not by chance, but by intention, not by impulse, but by awareness, not by limitation, but by the strength of your inner commitment. So as you stand in this new chapter, this unrecognizable life you built with your own hands, may you trust the truth you've discovered. Discipline is the doorway to freedom. It is the path to clarity, the guardian of your purpose, the sculptor of your destiny. Hold on to it, honor it, continue to live by it. Because the same discipline that brought you here will carry you into every higher level waiting beyond this moment. And when you look back years from now, remember this simple truth: your life didn't change when things around you shifted. Your life changed the day you decided to rise, the day you chose alignment over excuses, the day you chose growth over comfort, the day you chose to become someone your past never believed you could be. That is the day your transformation began. And it is the reason your life is now beautifully, undeniably, unrecognizably yours.